Thomas and Friends is made possible in part by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Thomas and Friends, making tracks to great destinations.
Dear Christopher, here is your friend Thomas the Tank Engine. He wanted to come out of his station yard and see the world. These stories tell you how he did it. I hope you will like them because you helped me to make them. Your loving Daddy.
Thomas is a blue tank engine that needs no introduction. He is known as #1 on the island of Sodor. You can often find him shunting or riding along his branch line with his two iconic coaches, Annie and Clarabelle. The other engines love Thomas. He has the reputation of being a really useful engine. After a hard day's work, Sir Topham Hatt came to see him at Farquhar's sheds one evening. "Tomorrow," he began, "I want you to go to Brendam Docks. You'll be teaching a new engine about shunting and pulling coaches." "Yes, sir," said Thomas tiredly. "That's a good engine," smiled the Fat Controller. "You're in for quite the surprise." With that, he walked away, leaving Thomas to ponder as to what he meant. He was so excited that he forgot he was even tired. The next morning, Thomas went straight to Brendam Docks, finding the surprise that Sir Topham hadn't mentioned. There, standing on the siding, was a blue engine with the same number as his. He also had 6 small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler, and a short stumpy dome. Thomas was looking at an engine that looked just like him. "Bust my boiler!" cried Thomas. The yard manager came in with a laugh. "Relax, Thomas. It's a replica engine. He's going to be pulling passengers at the Nene Valley Railway in Peterborough." Thomas looked on in wonder. Just a replica? Does he talk? The engine that blew his whistle, scaring Thomas. "Of course I could talk," the engine laughed. "Of course, I'm not really supposed to let the tourists know. It's a pleasure to meet the real deal. I was told you'd be teaching me, and I'm excited to learn." But Thomas was hesitant to teach. The day went on, and Thomas would teach his replica how to shunt around Farquhar Station, showing him the do's and don'ts. All the while, he didn't act too friendly. When it was time for a rest, Thomas was sitting in a siding away from the replica, eyeing him with contempt. It was then that Toby pulled alongside. "Hello, Thomas," smiled Toby. "Am I seeing double?" Thomas explained everything to Toby. "I don't like it. Why are they trying to replace an authentic experience of the original with a fake? It's not right." Toby just chuckled. Don't think of it like that, Thomas. You should be flattered. None of us could say that a replica was made in our exact image. Besides that, consider how he feels. Don't you think he might just want to be a useful engine like you? He's lucky to have an engine like you to teach him. Toby then puffed away, leaving Thomas with much to think about. Soon, it was time to take Annie and Clarabelle along the branch line. Thomas was meant to be in front of the replica, pulling him and the coaches. But thanks to Toby, he had a different idea. Please, sir, pleaded Thomas to the station master. Do you think you could give the other Thomas a shot at pulling the train? I could teach him what to do on the journey. I don't see why not, smiled the station master. The arrangements were set, and the replica beamed to have a chance of pulling a passenger train. He coupled onto Annie, while Thomas would be behind the coaches. Steady now, said Thomas. Be patient and wait for the guard's whistle. The replica listened and waited for the guard to blow his whistle. When the guard did, he slowly puffed out the station with Thomas, Annie, and Clarabelle in tow. The two tank engines made their way down the line. Thomas instructed the replica to not go too fast. He listened well and stayed on time. He's pulling us well! He's pulling us well! sang the coaches. Thomas couldn't disagree and found himself quite impressed. You're doing swell, called Thomas. You're doing swell! Eventually, the day came when the replica would leave the island to Peterborough. The engines were there to give their goodbyes, including Thomas, Annie, and Clarabelle. The replica felt bittersweet as he looked at Thomas. It was great to be here. I'll miss you, and I won't ever be as good as you. Nonsense, said Thomas. You already are. You're officially Peterborough's #1 engine. The replica smiled warmly as he then set off towards the line. All the engines gave him their cheers. But there was no cheer louder than the one from Sodor's #1 engine, Thomas.
Hey, Thomas, you awake?
It's 7 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm still tired.
Do you want to go to the station?
At 7 o'clock in the morning? No, thank you.
Do you want to go to the seaside?
At 7 o'clock in the morning? No, thank you!
Alright, I just want to know if you want to go anywhere.
Well, I'm still tired, Percy.
Do you mind? It's 7 o'clock in the morning.
We know!
Well, what's the problem?
I just don't want to go out on my own.
Well, that's a silly excuse, Percy. Last time you practically begged us to come out with you.
I just want to go outside.
Well, you should leave your outdoor activities till morning then.
Listen, I know it's none of my business, but I think I speak the right for everyone here when I say, go back to sleep.
All right. All right.
Thomas is puffing through the countryside. He is on his way to Knapford Yard. But Thomas stops puffing. He has run out of coal. Now what is Thomas going to do? Here comes Edward. I wonder if he can help. Edward asks his fireman to give Thomas some of his coal. Edward is sharing his coal with Thomas. Now they both have some coal. And Thomas can puff all the way to Knapford Yard. Edward is chuffing cheerfully through the countryside. But what's this? Edward has to stop. He has run out of water. But here comes Henry. Henry has lots of water. Henry shares his water with Edward. Now they both have some water. And Edward can finish his journey. Henry is puffing into the yard. He is ready to collect a special delivery. But there are too many freight cars for Henry to pull. Thomas and Edward only have a few freight cars. Henry shares his freight cars with Thomas and Edward. Thomas, Edward, and Henry all share. It makes them happy and gets the job done.
Thomas was sitting at the station, feeling depressed. He had to stop pulling freight cars because the constable labeled him as a lawbreaker. "It's not fair," said Thomas sadly. "I can't go around wearing cow catchers. I've never had an accident once. Why should I wear something because I'm an uptight constable?" Annie and Clarabelle tried to comfort him as best as they could. It was then they heard the sound of a bell. This had caught their attention, as they then see Toby, the new tram engine, puffing next to Thomas with a line of freight cars. "Hello, my name is Toby. You must be Thomas." Thomas noticed the cow catchers and the side plates and began to feel defensive. "I am, and this is my line. Don't go thinking you can run it just because of that uptight constable." Toby only chuckled. "I'm not here to replace you," he replied calmly. "I'm here just to keep the constable happy." "Humph!" erupted Thomas, as the whistle blew and he chuffed away. Toby didn't mind. He knew Thomas just felt defensive about his branch line. As time went on, Toby kept running the line smoothly, pulling the trucks better than Thomas ever did, which only made Thomas get more and more jealous. The trucks behaved well, and Toby always made his stops right on time. One day, Toby was pulling another line of freight cars. He was humming happily as he began to approach their level crossing. The constable was asleep when Toby rang his bell. The constable awoke with a fright as Toby passed by. "Oi, you!" he called out. But Toby hadn't heard and kept chuffing away. Thomas was waiting at the station when Toby had arrived. They were fixing to leave when shortly after there was the sound of another bell. It was the constable, riding on his bike and arriving at the station. He went to Toby, red in the face. "You! You can't go disturbing the peace with all that racket. I was having a nice sleep until you scared me. Before Toby could respond, another voice spoke up. Disturbing the peace? Beckoned the familiar voice. Approaching the officer then was none other than Sir Topham Hatt. I'm not the greatest with rules, officer, he began. But I know one thing for certain. Engines are to blow their whistle, or in this case, ring their bell, whenever they approach any level crossings. I assure you that these engines make sure they run the line safely. Next time I catch you making such ridiculous claims, I will make sure to notify your proper higher-ups. Do I make myself clear? The constable nodded and quickly got out of sight. Thomas began to laugh. That was great, replied Thomas proudly. I never thought I'd see the day that stuck-up would get what's coming to him. I'm sorry for being so rude to you. Toby smiled. That's all right, he replied kindly. I hope now we can work together well on your branch line. Thomas couldn't help but agree. And from that point on, the tank engine and the tram engine were now good friends.
Watching is learning. Orajel Training Toothpaste and Arm & Hammer Spin Brush Kids Toothbrushes. Proud supporters of Healthy Smiles and Thomas & Friends on PBS.
Thomas and Friends is made possible in part by and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
PBS Kids.
Let's play along with Thomas and Friends. They're playing a color game, and you can join in. Look, it's Thomas, Percy, and James. Which engine is red? That's right, James is the red engine. It's Toby, Thomas, and Henry. Which engine is blue? Thomas is the blue engine. Right again. Come ride the rails with Thomas and Friends on PBS Kids.
Thomas and Friends is made possible in part by and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Thomas and Friends, making tracks to great destinations.
Dear Christopher, here is your friend Thomas the Tank Engine. He wanted to come out of his station yard and see the world. These stories tell you how he did it. I hope you will like them because you helped me to make them. Your loving Daddy.
Percy would not stop teasing Thomas about the time he tried to move out without his driver and ended up in the station master's dining room. How rude of you it was to interrupt their breakfast, Percy laughed. Shut up, soothed Thomas. It wasn't me, it was that careless cleaner meddling with my controls. Percy only chuckled. He knew the accident wasn't Thomas's fault, but thought it very funny. The station master was away while his home was being repaired, and another came in his place. Percy loved trading jokes with the station master, but found that the new one did not have a good sense of humour. I don't have time for your follies, he said severely one morning. We have timetables to keep, and our passengers must not be disappointed. The new station master did keep to the timetables and kept to them almost too well. Even if an engine was only a minute late, they were certain to hear about it. The station master called the engines disobedient, which made them cross. I'm tired of the new station master pushing us around, Percy said one afternoon. I'd like to give him a piece of my mind. Thomas and Toby shared a look of reluctant agreement. It won't be much longer before the old station master returns, Toby said finally. Just wait and see. But the three of them were secretly afraid that things wouldn't get better. One morning, Percy was bringing passengers on holiday up the branch line to the junction. They would then be taken to the canal to enjoy the day on the water. They were making good time, but Percy felt hot and bothered. I feel like I'm straining, he said to his driver. I don't feel well at all. Only a little further, Percy, and then you'll have a good rest. We can't be late or the station master will be cross. But then it happened. He felt a sharp pain in his side, and he screeched to a stop just beyond the bridge, smoke billowing out of his cab. Oh, 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 he cried. His driver and fireman scrambled to shut off steam. "One of your pipes is leaking," said the driver. "We'll have to take you to the works to mend it. In the meantime, we'll have to wait here for another engine." This made Percy sad. "We can't stop now. We've got to get the passengers to the station," Percy said sadly. "Can we please try?" The driver looked at the fireman and after a while reluctantly nodded. "It's risky. It's not very far, so we'll have to go slow." Percy smiled. They built back up enough steam to get Percy moving, but it was hard work. Steam leaked back into Percy's cab, but he struggled on yard by yard. The passengers were impressed and cheered Percy on. It was getting dark by the time they arrived at the station. On the platform was the station master. "You have been a very disobedient engine," he bellowed. "If you aren't going to be on time, then perhaps we should find another engine to replace you." Then the passengers clambered out of the coaches in protest. "Percy saved the day," they said. "He broke down but kept on going, no matter how bad he felt." The station master held up the timetable to explain, but he was drowned by the chorus of passengers. "Bother your timetables, we wouldn't have gotten here at all if not for Percy." And they gave the little green engine 3 cheers. After Percy left to be mended, the yard became a much more peaceful place. The station master realized that in order to have the confidence of his passengers, he had to have confidence in the engines too.
What a lovely day it is. Don't you agree, Percy?
I agree. It's more lovely than a strawberry ghetto.
Oh no, look who it is.
Smelly black box.
Hello.
What are you doing here?
I'm afraid that green friend of yours, Henry, is away and being mended. Sometimes he's over. Yes. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to shunt my truck.
We'll see about that.
What do you mean?
You'll see.
Right, that's all my truck shunted.
Thomas, what's he going to do now?
See that truck in the middle over there?
Yeah? What about it?
Look at it.
You're right, that truck definitely needs oiling.
No, look.
What is it?
The brake, Percy, look at its brake.
Oh, I get it now. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yes, watch.
Right, let's let the world's strongest engine take these trucks away.
Hey, Percy, what's this? Hey, Diesel! I bet you can't move all those trucks at once!
Oh, yes, I can.
Diesel, you're very strong as a sail on a windmill.
Oh, yeah? Well, we'll see about that.
Okay then, pull!
Alright then. What?
Oh, Diesel, did I mention you were going the wrong way?
Right, that's the last straw.
Percy, do you see any straw?
Shut up.
I thought thought you were strong, Diesel.
I am.
Well, prove it then.
Okay then. Oh! Ouch!
Hello all. Whatever happened here? Got into a bit of trouble, Aunt Diesel?
I don't want to talk about it.
Henry, do you think you can pull all those trucks together?
Of course I can. Just you watch. Right. On our way then.
Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Well, we learned about one thing, Thomas.
And what's that?
Henry is the world's strongest engine on the Fat Controller's railway. Thomas, can I ask you something?
Yeah? What's that?
Who's the strongest? Flying Scotsman or City of Truro?
Percy, that's an easy one. The strongest engine is... Yeah, that is a very good question.
One evening, Henry was laughing as he returned to the shed. "I've had to take Percy to the works today," he chuckled. "He went past the danger board at the harbour and fell into the sea." Gordon and James laughed too. "First Thomas and now Percy. What silly little engines they are." But Duck didn't laugh. How will Thomas and Toby manage the branch line without Percy's help? He wondered. "Never mind," rumbled Gordon. "I'm sure the Fat Controller will think of something." And the Fat Controller did. The next morning he came to see Duck. "Until Percy comes back, I'd like you to help Thomas and Toby." Duck was pleased, but the big engines were annoyed. "What about the shunting, sir?" James protested. "I'm afraid you'll have to fetch your own trains again for a while," said the Fat Controller. "And this time let's hear none of your no shunting nonsense." The big engines grumbled all day. It had been a long time since they had to fetch their own coaches and trucks. They didn't like it at all. "Bother that Percy," hissed Henry. "Fancy being so careless." "If only there was a way to bring Duck back sooner," grunted Gordon. Then James had an idea. "Perhaps," he whispered, "if we did the shunting badly, on purpose, then he might. We'll just pretend that we've forgotten how to shunt, that's all." Gordon and Henry thought that was a good idea. The next day, the big engines did their work as badly as they could. The yard was in a mess, trains ran late, and the passengers were not pleased. Neither was the Fat Controller. At the end of the day, he spoke severely to the big engines. "I can see why tender engines don't shunt. You've forgotten how to." "We were sorry, sir," said Gordon. "Things were so much better when we had someone else to fetch our trains." "It's a pity Duck is helping Thomas, though," added James meaningfully. "Oh, I see," said the Fat Controller. "In that case, I'll find someone else to look after the yard." Gordon, Henry and James grinned at each other. But the next morning there was a surprise waiting for them. "Good morning," said Toby. "The Fat Controller has sent me to help you." "But," spluttered Henry, "but what about Duck?" "Duck is still helping Thomas. I dare say they can manage by themselves. As for you three, show a wheel and jump to it. For the next few days, Toby kept the yard in good order. He was slower than Duck, but he stood for no nonsense. Henry, James and Gordon couldn't do anything without Toby knowing about it. At last, Percy returned from being mended. Toby went back to the quarry, and Duck came back to the yard. The big engines were exhausted. "It's good to be back," smiled Duck, "and just as well. I heard all about you three making a mess of the yard. Don't worry, I'll teach you to do things the Great Western way. That should keep you in order." "Oh no," the engines groaned. They began to wish that they had done their own shunting after all.
Thomas and Percy have to move some troublesome trucks. Thomas is pushing. And Percy is pushing too. But the troublesome trucks are going nowhere. Can you see why? That's right. Thomas and Percy are pushing against each other. No wonder it's so difficult. Let's try this again. This time, Thomas is pulling instead of pushing. And so is Percy. But the troublesome trucks are still not moving. Do you know why? Thomas and Percy are now pulling against each other. What should they do? Exactly. One should push and the other should pull. And between them, Thomas and Percy will move those troublesome trucks in no time. Working together makes a job easier. Each engine on the island of Sodor looks different. Can you tell who is who? This engine is green. It has large wheels. In fact, the whole engine looks very large. There's a coal tender at the back. Do you know who it is yet? Here's another clue. On the side is a big yellow number 3. Have you guessed? It's Henry. Hello, Henry. Now, who is next? This engine is a completely different shape. The wheels are covered. It has cow catchers on the front and on the back. And there are 2 small windows on each side. This engine is made of wood, and it has a big number 7 painted on the side. Who could it be? That's right, it's Toby. Hello, Toby. Now, do you know who this last engine is? This engine is smaller than Henry. It has flat water tanks on each side, painted in a beautiful bright blue, with bright red stripes. Can you guess who it is? There are wheel arches at the front, and a tall black funnel, and a big yellow number 1. Who is number 1 on Sir Topham Hatt's railway? It's Thomas. Hello, Thomas. Thomas, Toby, and Henry all look very different, but they're all really useful engines.
Days had passed since Henry had left the tunnel and returned to the yard for hard work. Sir Topham Hatt was pleased with Henry's determination, but found him to still have a fear of the rain. "It's only water," he would tell Henry. "I know that, sir, but I'm more afraid of the storms. There's no telling what they could do." James the Red Tender Engine would often tease Henry back at the sheds for his fears. "After all that, you're still afraid of a few drops of rain," he'd say. "If the rain washed away your green paint, being painted red wouldn't look too bad on you. On second thought, you put me in a bad light. I'd look less splendid because of you." "Say what you will," said Henry, "but one storm can cause massive confusion and delay." James just scoffed smugly. "Please! No rain is going to keep me from doing my job." He then puffed away to collect the express. The other engines, including Gordon, were unamused. The weather later worsened. Rain was beginning to come down. Droplets hit James and his coaches, but James coasted down the main line in record time. "What a scaredy cat! What a scaredy cat!" he laughed. But trouble laid ahead. The heavy rain had caused a mudslide to come onto the line. James's driver couldn't see it due to the heavy rain, but when he did, it was too late. He applied the brakes, but the heavy coaches and the slippery rails only made James slide and slide. James crashed into the mud, splattering all over himself and his red paint. He tried reversing, but his wheels were stuck. The passengers were yelling about how bad the railway was, and how silly of an engine James was. From the dry comfort of their coaches, of course. Henry was ready with a goods train, ready in the weather when the station master came. "James, the express are stuck. We need you to go the rest of the way." "Come on, old boy," said his driver. "We can't let the storm keep the passengers stranded." Henry later arrived to see James and the coaches. Now he had a laugh. "Oh, what a shame," he chortled. "That mud has really ruined your red paint. Perhaps you should turn green like me." "On second thought, don't. You'd ruin my image." James felt embarrassed. "Never mind," said Henry. "It can happen to any engine." Soon enough, Henry pulled James out of the mud and took him and the coaches down the main line. Together, they braved through the stormy weather, all the way to the last station. James was humbled. "I'm sorry for teasing you. You're splendid, Henry." "That's all right," smiled Henry. "I'm just happy that even on stormy days, I can be really useful."
Watching is learning. Orajel Training Toothpaste and Arm & Hammer Spin Brush Kids Toothbrushes. Proud supporters of Healthy Smiles and Thomas & Friends on PBS.
Thomas and Friends is made possible in part by and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
PBS Kids.
You're watching NJTV.
Hi there, Dash here. To reveal my secret treasure, find the times that match, like these clocks showing 12 o'clock. Ready? What time is this?
3 o'clock.
And this?
3 o'clock.
Do we have a match?
Yes. 9 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
Do we have a match?
No. 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock.
Do we have a match?
Yes.
There's just one match left.
6 o'clock.
What is our secret treasure?
An alarm clock.
That's right. Emmy has our secret treasure, an alarm clock. Now go to pbskids.org and see what happens when you find today's secret treasure. Thanks for playing. Got a Dash.
Dinosaur Train on PBS Kids.
This is so great.
Your ticket to adventure.
Look at all these footprints.
Well, hello there.
There's family.
Buddy and Dawn, Mommy, Daddy, and Shiny. Then there's me, and my name's Tiny.
Fun.
La la loo.
And of course,
the dinosaur train.
All aboard.
High 4.
High 3.
High 2.
Watch Dinosaur Train weekdays on PBS Kids.
Thomas and Friends is made possible in part by and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Thomas and Friends, making tracks to great destinations.
Dear Christopher, here is your friend Thomas the Tank Engine. He wanted to come out of his station yard and see the world. These stories tell you how he did it. I hope you will like them because you helped me to make them. Your loving Daddy.
Henry the Green Engine had steaming troubles. Some days he woke up raring to go. Others, he felt utterly feeble. His crew tried hard to make him better, but to no avail. Henry usually pulled the first train. Each morning, Thomas brought his coaches to the platform and pushed from behind to help Henry start. He always whistled, "Good luck," and Henry would whistle, "Thank you," no matter how little steam he had. "He can't help feeling unwell. The Fat Controller must know that," he confided to Edward. "You don't think he'd replace Henry, do you?" "The Fat Controller always gives engines a fair chance," smiled Edward, "and Henry's a good sort. Even so," he sighed, Something must be done. Thomas gulped. Edward's remark didn't feel very reassuring. Later, Thomas was shunting when he saw Sir Topham Hatt talking to the station master. He couldn't quite hear the discussion as Gordon came clanking in with the express. But he did hear Henry and making arrangements. Oh dear, Henry is being replaced, he thought.
Little Thomas, beckoned Gordon. My coaches need shunting, thank you very much.
As Thomas coupled to the train, a thought struck him. Perhaps I could... Yes, it's perfect, he beamed. The next morning, he brought Henry's coaches to the platform as usual. Henry soon arrived, and the passengers began to board. Thomas could hear Henry wheezing at the head of the train. Don't worry, Henry, he smiled. You'll be all right now. The guard's whistle blew, and Henry started off. Thomas followed smoothly at first, but suddenly jerked forward. Thrown off balance, his crew fell from the cab. By the time they'd picked themselves up, Thomas was steaming away. What do you think you're doing, you silly engine? Called the driver. Thomas knew exactly what he was doing. He'd remembered Gordon's trick of leaving before he could be uncoupled. This time, he wanted to follow on. I'm helping Henry! I'm helping Henry! He smirked. Cheeky engine, fussed the coaches. Henry was amazed how easy it felt to pull his train. That's good, come along, that's good, come along, he sang. It wouldn't be good for long. They approached the first station, and Henry slowed down. But Thomas didn't. He was so pleased with his plan that he wasn't paying attention. Stop! 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 Shrieked the coaches. Without his driver, Thomas couldn't stop. Henry braked with all his might. The train slowed to a crawl, but Thomas's wheels kept spinning. Ooh! He winced, shutting his eyes. Suddenly, he felt his handbrake move, and his steam was shut off. He opened his eyes. They'd stopped at the platform, with angry passengers swarming around a flustered Henry. Phew! Sighed Thomas. His relief was short-lived, for stepping out of his cab was Sir Topham Hatt.
I appreciate you helping the train start, but this habit of gallivanting after them must stop, Thomas. You've no business running off down the main line, especially without your driver.
I'm sorry, sir, sighed Thomas, but I didn't want you to send Henry away. He explained what he'd overheard.
I'm afraid you've let yourself get carried away, chuckled Sir Topham Hatt. I'm not sending Henry away. I'm rearranging his timetable. If Edward takes the first train, Henry will have more time to build up steam, which should help him greatly.
Thomas beamed. He'd never been so relieved to be wrong.
Now, back to the yard with you. I have disgruntled passengers to pacify,
finished Sir Topham Hatt. Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir, blushed Thomas, and he scampered away. That night, Henry backed down beside Thomas in the shed. It was most kind of you to help me. Now that I have more time to build steam, maybe all my trains will be that easy to pull, even without you at the back, he chuckled. Thomas smiled, thankful that Henry wasn't going anywhere.
Freezing snow.
Today, Gordon, Percy, and Toby all have to go over Gordon's Hill. Gordon's Hill is steep and hard to climb. Which of the three engines will be able to do it? Gordon is a big, strong engine, but today, his express has extra coaches. All those coaches are very heavy. Too heavy to get up Gordon's Hill. Here comes Percy. He shunts freight cars all the time. But today, his freight cars are full of slate. And all those slate cars are very heavy. Too heavy to get up Gordon's Hill. Here comes Toby. Toby is only a small steam tram, but he's not pulling any coaches or shunting any freight cars. Will Toby be able to go over Gordon's Hill? Yes, Toby has done it. Toby didn't have to pull heavy coaches or shunt heavy freight cars. Toby was light enough to go over Gordon's Hill. Well done, Toby.
Sir Topham Hack's engines were proud to work on the island of Sodor. Though the railway was very busy, the engines worked together to get the work done. Each engine had their own unique strengths that allowed them to perform their individual duties with ease. Some engines, like Thomas and Percy, were small and well suited for lighter branch line work. Engines like Gordon and Henry were big and strong and designed for fast mainline traffic. James and Edward were mixed traffic engines that could pull big and small trains equally well. There were other important members of the railway too, such as the coaches and trucks. Without their ability to hold passengers or goods, it would be impossible to travel or move necessary supplies across the island. Unfortunately, the engines often forget to recognize their coaches and trucks for their contributions. There was an old van who lived on the island. He spent his days moving from one side of the island to the other, being loaded, unloaded, and loaded again. It was not hard work, but it was lonely. He never got as much as a hello from the engines. He was not prone to mischief like some of the other trucks, but he was often bumped only because that's just the way engines treated trucks. One day, James was at the big station preparing the slow goods to be taken to the junction at the end of the line. He hated it. "I'd much rather be pulling the express," he fumed. James bumped the trucks furiously as he arranged them into a neat line. Come on, he screeched. "I shan't have any silliness today. I want to finish before nightfall." James, grumbling dreadfully, shunted the last few trucks in line, a few loaded flat wagons and the old van. The van felt sad. He had barely moved and was already being harassed. He wanted to say something to James, but he knew he'd only get bumped again. "Why so glum?" called a friendly voice. The van looked over and was surprised to see Henry and Gordon sitting in the yard. He was not accustomed to being addressed by engines, especially big engines. The van stuttered. "I'm just tired." Gordon chuckled. "Tired of being bumped, James is the worse for that." The van hadn't received as much as one shred of compassion before. He felt warm inside. Yes, we get bumped a lot. Sometimes we get bumped even if we did nothing wrong. Henry and Gordon were embarrassed. "I'm sorry, my friend," Henry said. "We were taught that we should assume that trucks are going to misbehave, and we should bump them no matter what." "We are so used to doing this that we never stop to think how it affects you," Gordon added. "Well, we're sorry for acting up so often. I think that because we never get to know you, that we feel like we must misbehave for you to notice us." "We had no idea that's why you act out. How can we help you feel more comfortable?" "Well, we would appreciate if you took some time to talk to us during your day," the van said. "We would feel much more included." "Of course," Henry said. "That would be our pleasure." The van simply beamed. The signal dropped and it was time for James in a slow goods train to leave. "Thank you for talking to me," said the van. "The other engines ignore us. It makes me feel good to know that not all engines think we're silly." "Not at all," Henry replied. "We're glad to have a new friend." James, while waiting for the signal, had overheard the entire conversation and felt awful about it for the rest of the journey. At the last station, after he set down his trucks, he spoke to the old van. "I am so sorry for bumping you earlier," James said softly. "It's okay. I'm just pleased to be talking to you," the van smiled. The two chatted for a while, and James left to go back to the sheds. The van felt a renewed sense of purpose. He no longer felt like he was a cog in the system, but a true member of the team. For the first time in his long life, he looked forward to going out again tomorrow.
Here are some dots. If we join the dots, we will see one of our favorite friends on Sodor. Can you guess which friend it is? Let's join the dots and find out. Off we go. First, around the buffers. Those look like an engine's buffers. Now the wheels. 1, 2 pairs. Then around the back. There's no separate coal tender. Do you know which engine this is yet? There is the dome and the funnel. This is a small engine. And this engine is green. It's Percy. Hello, Percy. Sir Topham Hatt has sent Percy and Thomas to collect some freight cars. How many freight cars are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 freight cars. How many freight cars should Thomas and Percy each pull? Thomas takes 5 freight cars. That only leaves 1 freight car for Percy. Percy wants to take the same number of freight cars as Thomas. How many freight cars should Percy take? Percy takes 4 freight cars. Now Thomas only has 2 freight cars. They still haven't got the same number of freight cars. How many freight cars should they each take? Thomas takes 3 freight cars. How many does Percy have? 1, 2, 3 freight cars. The same number as Thomas. They have 3 freight cars each. Well done, Percy and Thomas.
Thomas the Tank Engine had had a very busy day. As well as his usual passenger runs, he'd taken children on an outing and helped deliver parcels for Tom Tipper when the post van broke down. It had been hard work, and he had to hurry to get everything done in good time. By the time he got back to the shed that night, he was exhausted. Edward could see how tired Thomas looked. "If you didn't rush around so much, you could manage much better, Thomas. Rushing around gets engines into scrapes. You'll still manage to get the work done if you slow down, and better still, you wouldn't be so exhausted at the end of a day." Thomas didn't want to listen to Edward. "Going fast is fun. I know you're trying to be kind, Edward, but you don't always know what's best." "Going fast can be fun," agreed Edward, "but sometimes it can lead to trouble." "Stuff and nonsense," said Thomas cheekily, and went to sleep instead. But the next morning, Thomas still felt tired when his driver came to start work. As he set out on the branch line with Annie and Clarabelle, the two coaches seemed heavier than usual. He had to puff as hard as he could when climbing over the hill before the airfield station, and by the time he rolled over the top, he was almost out of puff. "Maybe Edward was right," Thomas wheezed, and slowed down just a little bit for the rest of the journey. No one seemed to notice, and Thomas still finished his journey right on time. He was pleased. On the return journey to the junction, Thomas continued at the same pace, and he found himself enjoying his run even more. He whistled to people at fences, smiled at the birds in the sky, and even found time to say hello to some cows in the field beside the line. "This is lovely," he puffed to himself. Then there was trouble. Up ahead at the level crossing, a lorry was stuck on the line. One of its wheels had come off, and the vegetables it was taking to market were everywhere. Thomas had to stop before he collided with it. He braked as hard as he could. His brakes squealed as he went slower and slower, but the lorry got closer and closer. "Oh, my wheels and coupling rods!" cried Thomas. "I have to stop!" With one last big effort, Thomas came to a halt just in front of the lorry. "Well done, Thomas!" cheered the driver. "You stopped just in time. What a clever engine you are!" The lorry driver thought so too. "If you hadn't stopped in time, there could have been a very nasty accident." The passengers leaned out of the windows, cheering and clapping for Thomas. He felt very proud of himself, and it was all because he'd listened to Edward. That night, Thomas apologized. "I'm sorry I was cheeky, Edward. You were right. I enjoyed going a bit slower today, and better still, if I had gone any faster, I might have hit that lorry." "Well, I'm glad you didn't," said Edward. "Sir Topham Hatt says you were a real hero." "And I learned another lesson today, too," finished Thomas. "You do know best, Edward."
Thomas and Friends is made possible in part by and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
PBS Kids.
Something new is coming in October to give you. Pet plus Cat, an all-new show coming Monday, October 7th on PBS Kids.
Listen up as Martha speaks.
That Colleen really knows how to scratch an ear. Come back in 3 months.
That's almost 2 dog ears. Martha Speaks, weekdays on PBS Kids or watch anytime you want at pbskids.org.
Cinders and ashes. Plus my buffers.
Thundering tracks.
What's all the excitement about? Thomas is excited that you'll join him for a new season of Thomas and Friends. Hooray! Watch your favorite shows right here on PBS Kids.